At 3 in the morning, my phone lit up with a name I had spent 10 months trying to forget. Richard Hale. The message was short. We need to talk. Call me. Some people don't need to raise their voice to take control. They just assume you'll give it to them. I'm Lillian Hart. I'm 29 years old, and for most of my life, I thought silence was the price of staying in my family. The screen glowed in the dark of my Austin apartment, and before I could stop it, a memory pulled me back. Spokane, graduation day. I was 25, still hoping, somehow, that this would be the moment they'd look at me and finally feel proud. They arrived late. Not a little late. 25 minutes. Victoria stepped out first, laughing like she was walking into a party. My mother, Margaret, gave me a small, nervous smile, but my father spoke before anything else could exist. "Stand up straight," he said. "You look unprepared. No congratulations. No, we're proud of you. Just correction." Even then, I accepted it. After the ceremony, he pulled me aside. Subtle, controlled. The same quiet gesture he always used when he wanted obedience without witnesses. I followed. Back then, I still believed that if I didn't push back, things would stay calm. He handed me a plain white envelope. Open it. Inside a one-way bus ticket. Spokane to Austin. Departure that night. "This house is not a shelter," he said. "It's time you learned to stand on your own." Victoria didn't even try to hide her smile. My mother looked like she wanted to say something. She didn't. I nodded once. No argument, no tears. Just a decision forming somewhere deeper than pain. I walked away with my diploma, and the last piece of hope that my family would ever choose me. The truth is, I had already been building something quietly for years long before that night. Getting thrown out didn't start my story. It just forced me to finish it. Back in my apartment, I turned my phone face down. I didn't call him. I wasn't going to let him decide how this story started again. This story is written by Revenge Pulse, inspired by real-world emotional dynamics to reflect, not replicate, any specific person or family. If any part of this feels familiar, stay with me, because what happened next wasn't what they expected. I grew up in a house where silence felt safer than honesty. My father, Richard Hale, didn't raise his voice often. He didn't need to. Control, for him, was quiet, precise, constant. And love, if that's what it was, always came with conditions. In our house, everything was measured, and I was always being measured against Victoria. She didn't try to stand out. She just did. Effortless. Polished. Approved. I learned early that the easiest way to survive was to take up less space. When I was 13, I sat on the kitchen floor with an old computer taken apart around me. Wires, screws, pieces everywhere. I wasn't breaking it. I was trying to understand it. My father walked in, stopped, and looked down. He didn't ask what I was doing. He didn't ask what I was learning. Real careers don't come from hobbies. He said, "Try being more like your sister." That was it. That was the evaluation. Victoria leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Dad just wants what's best for you," she said lightly, but the small smile on her lips said something else. She liked being the standard, and she knew I would never reach it. My mother tried, in quiet ways. "Lillian, that looks complicated," she would say. "You're very smart." But every time she stepped forward, my father stepped in. "Margaret, don't encourage distractions." And just like that, she pulled back. Silence returned. It always did. By 18, I understood the rules. Victoria was praised for existing. I was corrected for everything else. So I stopped waiting for approval, and I started building something else. I worked 2 jobs, studied in libraries, in break rooms, anywhere that didn't belong to him. I paid for my own classes. "If you want to chase useless ideas," my father told me, "you can pay for them yourself. I will figure it out." I said, "You won't last a month." I lasted years. What I didn't know then was how far I was already going to have to go just to be free. Graduation day was supposed to feel like an arrival for everyone else. It did. Students clung to their parents, crying into bouquets, laughing like the world had finally opened for them. I stood at the edge of the crowd, holding my cap in both hands, telling myself my family was just running late. They weren't. They showed up 25 minutes after the ceremony had already started. My father, Richard Hale, walked ahead like he was inspecting property. Victoria followed, oversized sunglasses, heels clicking like she was stepping onto a runway. My mother trailed behind them, offering me a small, uncertain smile. My father stopped in front of me. "Fix your gown," he said. "You look sloppy." Hi. "Dad," I said quietly. Victoria lowered her glasses just enough to look at me. "You could have picked a better lipstick," she said. "That color doesn't help you." She smiled like she was being kind. My mother reached for my arm. "Lillian, congratulations. Stand up straight." My father cut in. "We need one decent photo." I did. I always did. He took 2 quick pictures like he was checking off a task, then lowered his phone. "We're done here." That was it. "No, I'm proud of you." "No, you did well." "Just finished." I had hoped for something, even a little. But hoping he would change was like hoping distance would soften impact. It never did. After the ceremony, he gestured for me to follow him toward the parking lot. I went. Victoria followed behind us, quiet for once watching. My mother stayed back, caught between wanting to step in and knowing she wouldn't. My father reached into his coat and pulled out a small white envelope. "Open it." I did. A bus ticket. One way. Spokane to Austin. Departure that night. My throat tightened. "You bought me a ticket. It's time you stop relying on this family," he said. "This house is not a shelter. You're 25. Stand on your own." Victoria let out a soft laugh. "Austin, that's ambitious." I swallowed. "Okay," I said. My mother stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Richard, please, she just graduated." He looked at her once. She stopped. Just like that. I folded the ticket back into the envelope. "Thank you," I said, because I knew what defiance would cost me. He nodded, satisfied. "Leave your key on the counter." That was the moment something inside me let go. Not anger, not even grief. Just release. I hugged my mother. She held on tighter than usual, like she understood this wasn't a trip. It was an ending. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I nodded. Then I turned and walked toward the bus stop. No one called my name. No one asked me to stay. The bus to Austin pulled away from Spokane with a low, steady rumble. For the first time in my life, no one was waiting for me anywhere. I sat by the window with a single backpack at my feet. The envelope with the ticket stayed in the front pocket, like something I couldn't quite put away. Somewhere past the city limits. My phone buzzed. "Daniel Cross. Tell me you didn't stay with them after the ceremony." I stared at the message for a second, then typed back, "I'm on a bus to Austin. Long story." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, came back again. "Lillian, what happened? Did he say something?" My throat tightened. I could still hear my father's voice. "Leave your key on the counter." I typed slowly. "I'll explain when I get there." The reply came almost instantly. "All right, just get here. You're not dealing with this alone." I read that twice. Not dealing with this alone. The words landed harder than anything my father had said. I turned off my phone and leaned back. The hours blurred. People slept. The bus hummed. The road stretched endlessly forward, and that feeling, not grief, not anger, just quiet release kept rising in waves. We pulled into Austin just after sunrise. Warm air, different light, a different life. Daniel stood near the station entrance, scanning the crowd until he saw me. His eyes dropped to my bag. "That's it," he asked. "That's all you brought. It's enough." I said, His jaw tightened. If he threw you out, just say it. I met his eyes. I'm here. That's what matters. He held my gaze for a second, then nodded. Come on, he said. The team's been waiting. The team. A small smile, almost guilty. You'll see. He drove us across the city, not to somewhere impressive, not to somewhere polished, to something real. A modest building, tucked between two larger offices, Iron Veil Systems. Ours. The moment we stepped inside, the lights snapped on. Surprise voices, movement, energy. 15 engineers rushed forward, a crown made of copper wiring, a cake shaped like a firewall diagram, laughter that filled the entire room. Daniel leaned in slightly. You deserved a graduation, he said. So we made one. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. Because for the first time, celebration didn't feel conditional. It didn't feel earned through survival. It just existed. And it was for me. The weeks after I got back to Austin didn't feel real. For years, we had been building Iron Veil Systems quietly. Borrowed labs, late nights, sleeping under desks, taking whatever contracts we could just to keep moving. We weren't invisible, but we weren't seen either. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Daniel walked into my office fast, laptop in hand. The demo got out. He said. I looked up. Got out where everywhere. He said. A cybersecurity forum picked it up. Then, 3 major tech sites. They're calling it the most disruptive system since quantum encryption. My stomach tightened. We're not ready for that kind of attention. His mouth lifted slightly. Too late. By that evening, reporters were calling. By the next morning, we had an email from Homeland Security, requesting demonstration as soon as possible. That was the moment it stopped feeling exciting, and started feeling dangerous. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers, missed calls, messages. Then the names I had spent 10 months avoiding. Richard, call me. This is important. Another message. Seconds later, you need to come home. Family meeting. Don't ignore this. Then Victoria. So you're famous now. Dad says answer your phone. I locked the screen and pushed it away. An hour later, it buzzed again. Margaret. I froze before answering. Lillian. Her voice was soft. Careful. Are you okay? I'm fine. Mom. I saw something online. She said. I didn't know you were building something like this. Are you staying somewhere safe? Do you have enough I can send you money if Mom? I said gently. I'm working. I'm okay. A pause. Then, quieter. Your father won't say it, but he's watching. He keeps saying we should sit down as a family. That old pressure crept back in. I can't do that, I said. Not right now. I understand, she said. But it sounded like she didn't. Just call me when you can. I will. When the call ended, I let the phone fall onto the desk. The sound felt louder than it should have. Daniel leaned against the doorway. You good? I nodded once. The world's watching now. He didn't hesitate. Good, he said. A beat. It's about time they saw what you built. The morning of the Iron Veil Systems launch felt heavier than anything I had ever faced. Heavier than exams. Heavier than interviews. Heavier than every moment my father had ever used to measure my worth. Daniel knocked once before opening the door. They're setting up, he said. You ready as I'll ever be. He gave a short nod, the kind that meant I believe in you, even if you don't yet, and we headed to the Austin Convention Center. Inside, the energy was immediate. Security analysts, federal representatives, tech reporters, every seat filled, every camera forward. No one here knew Spokane. No one knew the house I left. No one knew about the bus ticket I carried like something unfinished. They only knew my work. Daniel stepped onto the stage first, confident, steady. For 3 years, he said. We've been building Iron Veil Systems to solve a problem most people don't see until it's too late. A pause. But none of this exists without the person who built its core. The lights dimmed. The screen behind him went black, then lit up. Lillian Hart, chief architect and co-founder, applause. Loud, immediate, real. I stepped forward, and for the first time, my pulse didn't race. It steadied. I spoke about responsibility, about systems that fail when people ignore small risks, about the team, the work, the years no one saw. Every word felt like taking something back, piece by piece. When I finished, the applause came again, stronger this time, certain. For a moment, I let myself stand in it. Then I walked backstage, and my phone started buzzing, again and again. Messages, alerts, unknown numbers. Then the name I didn't need to see. Richard, call me. Now. Another message. You come home. We talk as a family. And then, everything you are. I made possible. For a second, my chest tightened, not from fear, from recognition. That voice, that claim, that version of the story. Daniel stepped into the doorway. You crushed it, he said. Then he saw my face. What happened? I handed him the phone. He read the messages, his expression shifting. He doesn't get to do that. He said quietly, he doesn't get to rewrite this. I looked at the screen again. He's not going to stop. Daniel didn't hesitate. Then he's going to learn. He said that you're not someone he can control anymore. I turned the phone face down, but the words didn't disappear. They stayed. Old, familiar, persistent. Everything you are, I made possible. For years I lived under that, believed it, carried it. But today, the world saw something different, and this time, I wasn't giving it back. The launch had ended hours ago, but my father's message was still replaying in my head when Daniel pushed into my office without knocking. His face said everything. Lillian, he said, you need to come downstairs. My chest tightened. Why? A brief pause. Your family is here, he said, and they're not leaving. Cold, immediate. All of them. Your father, your mother, Victoria. They pushed past reception. Security's trying to contain it. But someone was already filming. I could hear it in his voice. We took the elevator down in silence. The doors opened to a lobby full of people pretending not to watch. And in the center of it, my father turned the second he saw me. Lillian, we need to talk. As a family. I stopped several feet away. No, I said, we don't. He stepped forward. Like distance didn't apply to him. We raised you. You owe us at least a conversation. I don't owe you anything, I said. Not anymore. Victoria wiped under her eyes, but her voice stayed sharp. You could have told us, she said. You made us look stupid. This isn't about how you look, I said. It's about how you treated me. My father let out a quiet scoff. You're being dramatic. Everything you are, don't. I said. A beat. He didn't stop. Everything you are. I made possible. For a second I saw him the way I used to. Certain. Untouchable. Right. Then something in me settled. Clear. Final. You didn't build me, I said. You broke me. Silence. I built myself. My mother made a small sound, quickly covering her mouth. My father ignored it. You wouldn't have lasted a week without this family. He said. I lasted years. I answered. Without you. Victoria stepped closer, her voice breaking. I was jealous. Okay, she said. He compared us all the time. I just played the part. I thought you were fine. You didn't look. I said. I know. She whispered. I'm sorry. I nodded once. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. Then my mother spoke. Richard, stop. The room shifted. He turned toward her, surprised. She stepped forward, small but steady. We lost her, she said, because of how we treated her. He stared at her. You're choosing her side. I'm choosing the truth. For a second I thought he might say something different, something real, something human. He didn't. "You'll regret this," he said. I met his eyes. "I already regret staying." He turned and walked out. Victoria followed. Slower this time. My mother paused in front of me. Her hand touched mine, brief, shaking. Then she left too. The doors closed. The lobby went quiet. No applause, no confrontation left, just space. I stood there, breathing slowly, not victorious, not defeated, just free. In the weeks after the lobby confrontation, Austin felt different. Not quieter outside, if anything, louder. More meetings, more contracts, more pressure. But inside, something had finally stopped bracing for impact. I moved into a small high-rise apartment near the river. 4 boxes. That was all I owned. Daniel insisted on carrying them anyway. When he set the last one down, he glanced around the empty space. "You sleeping any better a little?" I said. "Therapy helps." He nodded once. "Good. You deserve that." At the office, things shifted. Not distance, not tension, respect. The kind that comes from being seen fully. They had watched what happened in the lobby. They understood more of me than I had ever planned to show. One evening, as I packed up my laptop, Daniel leaned against the doorway. "Homeland Security wants a second demonstration," he said. "They're serious this time. Then we'll be ready." He hesitated. "If your family tries anything again, they won't." I said, "Not confidence. Certainty. Not after that day." He studied me for a second, then nodded. Still protective, but no longer worried I would break. I walked home that night with something unfamiliar in my chest. Not happiness, not relief. Space. The next morning, I found an envelope under my door. My name written in my mother's handwriting. I didn't pick it up right away. For a moment, I just stood there, feeling the past and the present press against each other. Then I reached down and opened it. I carried the letter to the kitchen and opened it carefully. Inside a single sheet of lined paper, the kind she used when I was a child. Her handwriting wasn't steady, but it was hers. "Lillian, I'm proud of the woman you built yourself into. I'm trying to learn how to build myself too. If you ever want to talk, I'll listen not as your mother, but as Margaret." Starting over, I read it twice, then folded it, gently. There was no apology shaped like guilt, no demand, no expectation. Just truth, and that made it heavier than anything she could have said before. My father never reached out again. Not once. Control had always been his language, and without it, he had nothing left to say. Victoria disappeared from my world just as quickly as she had dominated it. No messages, no explanations, just absence. For the first time, not pretending, 6 months later, Iron Veil Systems wasn't just growing. It was trusted, not because of noise, because of consistency, because we built it that way. That night, I stood in a small community center, a fundraiser for women rebuilding their lives. We sponsored it quietly, but they asked me to speak. I stepped up. The microphone shook slightly in my hand. "I grew up believing safety was something you had to earn." I said. A pause. Then I learned. "It's something you deserve." Silence. Then movement. Understanding. "We're building a program." I continued. "Training. Support. Real opportunities. If you're starting over, there's space for you. Applause. Not loud, but real." Daniel stood at the back, watching, not stepping in, not taking over. Just there. I didn't rebuild my family. I stopped needing them to become something they never were. And that was enough. If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping yourself, you already know how that feels. And if you're still standing at that door, maybe this is your sign. This story is created by Revenge Pulse, inspired by real-life emotional dynamics to reflect, not replicate, any specific person or family. Some endings don't give you back what you lost. They just give you the strength to stop losing more. If this story stayed with you, take a moment and ask yourself, are you still watering a tree that never grew for you? Some roots don't need more time. They need distance. If you've ever had to choose between holding on and growing forward, you already understand. And if you're still deciding maybe this is your moment to choose yourself,